Hi, this is Harish here. Welcome to DB2 HADR tutorial part 22. In this tutorial, I want to talk about an issue. The issue is if a network failure happens on a HADR system, it mandates that I should not issue DB2STOP on my old primary. So a network failure mandates no DB2STOP of old primary system. The scripts that I'm using, the data files that I'm using are available for free download at db2lewacademy.blogspot.com. Please subscribe to the channel youtube.com/db2lewacademy. Now this is a problem scenario and solution in detail. So the problem scenario is we have a simple HADR system. So there is no automation in place. So a basic HADR system up and running in PS state. And there is a primary and a standby. Now the network, there is a network failure. So it could be on a router or a gateway, or it could be even the physical network interface card on the primary system itself is, the physical card damage or something, or some wire or some soldering, whatever. Okay. Some network failure, hardware, it could be hardware or software failure, and the primary is not accessible. So you do take over on the standby. Now, at some point of time, the network issue is going to get fixed. So after that, I'll have to reintegrate my old primary as standby. So that is not working if I deactivate my database, primary database, and if I issue DB2STOP on the old primary. So even if I say, after like the DB2STOP, I start the instance, and the first command will be, it will not be activate database, it will be start as standby, right? So that is not working. So it's not able to smoothly reintegrate. So because of that, I have to restore from the current primary. So that is the only solution. So the other solution is do not issue deactivate and stop the instance in the old primary until the network issue gets fixed. And the problem with that is, see, what if it is a network interface card failure? So they have to change the card. So they obviously they'll ask the DB2 team. Since it's a DB2 server, they're going to come back to us. See, the databases are running, so you want to smoothly, you want to basically do a Linux or AX shutdown in a smooth manner as far as possible. So they are going to ask you to bring the database and stop the instance. If you do that, you cannot reintegrate the old primary as standby without a restoration. That is an issue. Okay. So, and obviously the question is why DB2 should be active for reintegration. So why it needs to be in memory. And definitely there is some differing log chain kind of concept that is happening in the background, because of which it is not able to reintegrate. And in 9.7 it was kind of working, but in 10.1 and above only I see that behavior. And obviously I think it is because in 10.1, because of the automation and other things, so they bought a new feature, like if the network failure is on the primary, then the standby will become primary. So the old primary should not be primary anymore, because it should be like, even if the network failure, like if the network gets corrected, it's get fixed, then there will be two primaries running on the system. So this is a split brain scenario. So this in 9.7 the split brain scenario was not well addressed. So maybe in 10.1 and above, I think to address that issue they have done this, but the side effect is very huge. That is what I'm saying. See, whether I bring down, what happens in 10.1 is, if the primary is coming up, let's say the network is up now, right? So obviously you will have the old primary running as primary, right? So what it will do is, once the network communication is established, my old primary will be automatically shut down by the DB2 process from the standby, or from old standby, which is the current primary. So it will send a request to shut down the database, and that is called some poison pilling or something of the database. So once the poison pilling is done, so this particular feature is for 10.1. This is good. So after that, I will have to start as standby. It will smoothly reintegrate. I have no issues with that. But my question is whether I poison pill, or whether if I go and deactivate and stop the instance and start the instance, and again, I'm not issuing activate, I'm just going to say start as standby. Why it is not working? That is my question. Because if the failure is a network interface card, physical network interface card failure, then obviously you'll have to bring down the databases, bring down the instances, right? So I can readily power off the system. That is always there. But then that's not a smooth way, right? So one benefit should not, contradict me. And particularly, one benefit should not outweigh the other benefit, right? So that is the thing that I'm raising. And the other thing is, I have to restore. So if I have to restore, see, if it is a 1 GB database, 2 GB database we are talking about, it's not a problem. But if it's a 1 terabyte database, it is going to be a problem. Okay, so that is why I want to call this as a defect or an issue. Okay, let's see what is happening by means of an example. And the weird thing is it works for the first time. That is really a weird thing happening. So if you look at this DB2 level, so we are in 11.1.4.4, and you can see that this one is a standby system and peer state, and you can see it is 61.log, 61.log, 265, 9265 is the LSO number. So you can see the same thing here also. So primary system peer connected and same 61.log and 392.65. So now let's say this system, this is the primary, this goes out of the network. Okay, but it is going to take 2 minutes or so. So HADR timeout is like 120 seconds. So see, now only the OS recognizes the network is down. So we'll have to wait till that time. Okay, because for that 2 minutes it will be still in peer state, so we'll have to wait it out. So 61.log, so look at the primary log and the standby log, 61.log and 299.43265. Okay, we'll just understand 9265. Okay, we'll just keep that in mind. And the replay gap is also 0. All right, so replay gap is also 0, and it will work for the first time because because of this log file only. So you see that the log file and the LSO will just stay there itself the first time, and from the second time onwards you'll get the issue. you'll find out, like if you continue to watch the video, you will understand what I'm saying. So let's do this. Okay, it's still, I mean, I'll have to wait for two minutes. Sorry guys to make you wait, but that's how it works. So it needs to get disconnected. It needs to be, I'm just waiting for the disconnected state basically. So let me just show it, once it gets disconnected. This is a problematic, awkward wait, but there's no other option. And okay, in 9.7 I have tried this and it kind of works. I would not say it's 100% consistent, but the same thing happens. See, whenever this, okay, this got disconnected. See, in 9.7 what happens is it will just stay there as long as your LSO and this LSN and the log file is all the same. It stays there. When you do the takeover, it works. Only when it crosses that log file, it causes an issue. So see, right now you can see that this is 61.log and it got disconnected, right? So same here, we'll check it. See, remote catch up pending and 61.log, right? So I'll do takeover by force now. Okay. Okay, takeover by force on the standby system. Okay, you can see that primary disconnected, 61.log same 9310. Okay, so it became primary. Okay, so now this guy is still out of the network, so I'm going to deactivate the database and I'm going to stop the instance. Okay, so let the network come back. Okay, the network came back and I should be able to ping to this particular machine. So IP address, okay, 121. Okay, okay, it is pinging, so this is not an issue. So now I can start the instance. And instead of activating the database, I will have to say start as standby because I want to join into standby, right? So that should be the first command, obviously. Start as standby. Okay, let's look at that. See, it became standby peer connected. So because you can see that it is still in 61.log, right? And even though this LSO number is changing, I am still in the 61.log, right? So as long as I am in the 61.log, it will work. So you saw that whatever I am saying, you saw that the issue that I am raising is not there. That is what you are thinking, right? But it is not. It works only for the first time. It will not work from the second time onwards. Okay. So let's check this guy. So 61.log, right? Peer state standby. Okay. and this will be primary, right? 61.log, and log gap is also 0, and 9310, correct? So that is the number 9310. Okay, all fine. So this is now primary. So what I'll do is I'll disconnect it from the network. So another 2 minutes we'll have to wait. I'm sorry guys, but that's how it is. So you'll have to wait. So okay, now the OS recognized that you're disconnected, but it is going to take about 120 seconds. So we'll have to wait for some more time, and we are still in 61.log in terms of our primary and standby log location, replay location, and the log gap is also 0, and the LSO number is 39310. So you can see that here, 39310. Okay, that is a measure of that number of pages or whatever. Okay, so we'll have to wait for about 2 minutes for this. So this is now my primary system, and I just want to wait till it shows like it is disconnected from the network. So this is our standby system. It will still think that it is still in a PS state, okay, for the HADR timeout value. Okay, so in here it is still in PS state. We'll have to wait, I think 1 more minute we'll have to wait. Okay, let's see. Okay, primary is still in PS state. And remember the 61.log and the number 39310. So if the log file is changing from 61.log to 62.log, that is like the truncation of the log file will happen in between, right? So at that time it will become an issue. See, now it got disconnected. Okay, so now the status is like the HADR timeout is completed. So you can see it is in remote catch-up pending. So obviously I will have to run takeover by force from here. Okay, there you go. Takeover HADR on HTest by force, right? So because of this takeover, what has happened? See, it became 62.log. This is where the problem comes. So from 61.log, it becomes 62.log, right? That time it won't reintegrate. So so here the database is still in memory, okay, but this will be thinking that it is primary. So I just want to deactivate, right? And I want to stop the instance. Okay, and after I stop the instance, let the network come back. Okay, so once the network comes back, I'll just ping the IP address to make sure that the network is up. Okay, you just give some enough time. Okay, ping that. Yeah, the reply is coming. Okay, now I can say DB2STOP. So instead of, see, if the network comes up, automatically this database would have been shut down. Okay, because of to prevent the split brain scenario. But what I am doing here is, before the network came up, I wanted to have an explicit control, and I said, okay, let's deactivate the database and stop the instance, right? So what if the system requires a reboot, right? So something, right? So after starting the instance, all I need to do is, I'm not going to do takeover, so I'll let it say start as standby. Okay, so start HADR on database as standby. Okay, it looks like it started, but let's look at list active databases. It's not. It won't start. See, just you saw that same scenario I did. It was working, but it will not work the second time. Okay. You can see that it is disconnected. That's because like you are in the 62.log and the extents are not matching. See, 31, 334 LSO. So I don't know. See, your primary log file is still in a, see, if you look at the LSO number, right? This gives you a hint. See, your standby is still lagging behind only. See, if two systems are trying to, in terms of LSO and the log extent number and whatever, right, that if they want to catch up, right, as long as they are behind, if the standby is behind the primary, it is a valid scenario to reconnect, right? So that doesn't mean that, some transactions have happened on the standby or something like that, right? On the original primary, right? So they should probably allow, because see, if you say this LSN itself, this LSO or this LSN itself is going beyond the primary, then obviously you cannot reintegrate, correct? But I don't know exactly. See, I'm not an expert here, but you saw that it worked for the first time. Only from the second time it is causing an issue, right? That it worked the first time because it was in the same 61.log. Like if you remember, see, we were on the same 61.log in terms of primary and standby, right? But when you do the takeover, if the log file changes, if to 62 from 61.log it changed to 62.log, now it will never work. Okay, so even if I okay, let's do one thing. Let me just clear all the log files here. I mean, it's just a try. Let me try that way also. I'll go to archive logs, NST1. So I'll just delete all the archive logs. Okay, and I'll also go to INST1 log stream. I'll delete all the log files, active log files also, because sometimes this is kind of a like a, instead of doing a restore, I'll just try to clear all the log files and I'll start a standby, so that there is a likely chance that, see, it's still not picking up, right? Sometimes what will happen is, it will contact the primary, it will try to do the handshake, and there are no existing log files on the standby system, so it will retrieve from the primary and it will catch up. So that's the idea, okay? But that is also not working, so I have to do a restore. There is no other way now. Okay, so this is the issue, and you can check the same scenario in 9.7. It works pretty much consistently for me. So even if you switch over between these two networks, so because of the video getting too long, I'm not demonstrating the 9.7. Probably I'll do it in another video. Hope this information was useful to you. Try to let me know your inputs, and see you in the next video tutorial. Until then, bye bye.